Afternoon, good night, wherever you are at. Welcome to Mentor Mornings. I have a confession, guys. I was up super late last night. I'm running on like 3.5 hours of sleep. I had to wake up early today with the kids, so my brain is functioning at 50%. I tried to write a meaningful mentor morning this morning, and it just wasn't happening. And so I decided I'm not gonna force it today, but I did want to get on here and talk about something that I think is real. And it was something that kind of became clear to me last night, hanging out with some good people. And that's that, like the people that have awoken, the people who have pierced the veil of reality, have seen through the lies and the deception of the world that we live in. Good morning to you too, Amanda. Nice to see you here. So the people who have like broken through that veil and seen through that side, there's like this process of when our paradigms of how our world functions, it's like how we see the world, how we process all the information of how everything works, of who people are, of what they're here for, all of that starts to fall apart. And when we go through that, it can be a really disturbing process. I mean, it's beautiful in a way. It's like emerging from a cocoon, and at the same time we can feel so lonely because we think that we're going through it alone and there's nobody else out there in the world that can understand what we're experiencing. And the real truth, like before you go, because I know like it's Saturday, we got things we got to do. First of all, hit that thumbs up button if you appreciate this video, please. But the real truth is that you're not alone. If that's something that you're experiencing, if you're waking up, if you're starting to question everything around you, and it seems like there are so many lies, you're not alone. And keep going. There's going to be so many people that question if what you're doing is right. There's going to be so many people that are going to tell you that you're being foolish. Trust your gut. Trust your instinct. And that's really all I can say, is trust your gut and trust your instincts. There's so many mysteries of this world, and there's so many fabulous things for us to find out, and there's so much left to be discovered. Like we think that it's easy for us to fall into the trap and think that all of the good is already past. All of the good stuff happened in the past, and we're not going to see that in the future. And I think it's really important to hang on to the fact that there is still a universe full of mystery, and it's waiting and beckoning us to open it up and discover it and see what kind of good we can pull out of it. And I think there's still a lot of hope for us on this planet and the direction that we're moving. It may seem super scary right now and like a wild, rough ride. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever tried psychedelics, but this is kind of like something I was talking about with some friends last night. It's like we just ventured into a challenging trip and now we need to sit back, hold on tight, because we can't get out of it, right? There's no getting out of it. We're here and we're gonna get through to the other side of it. It's kind of like that. And I think that just like with the challenging trip, we learn a lot about ourselves. And when we come out the other side of it, we're usually better off than we were when we went in. And so, like wherever we're feeling challenged, wherever we're feeling triggered with the stuff that's happening today, there's a possibility that we may be able to learn and grow from it as individuals and as a collective. And I guess, like I said, guys, I'm really tired this morning, so I'm not really with it. But I wanted to wrap on that a little bit and let you know that you're not alone in starting to question all this stuff, and that there's a path. There's a path to this. And before I go, like we're gonna end this here real soon, but before I go, when we awaken, we want to consume as much information as we possibly can. Amanda, there seems to be more than, oh, I lost the comment. Is there a way that I can get that? There we go. There seems to be more than one timeline going on, in my opinion. No way to know how it's going to play out. Just enjoy the ride. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yep, that's definitely one way to look at it, is that we are on different timelines. I think where I was going with before is that, you know, like as we're going through this and as we start awakening or we start questioning the reality around us, or maybe you've already been awake for a long time, I don't know. But we have this desire to consume information. We like want all the information that we can wrap our heads around. We want to know what is really going on. And the truth is that I don't think that our minds are never going to be able to completely comprehend the enormity of what is happening inside of our world. Like we're never going to be able to wrap our brains around all that stuff. And so there comes this point where we say, I think I have enough knowledge. Hey Nate, do you do any subconscious work? Yeah, yes. I have done a lot of subconscious work. Psyche, I've definitely certified in neurolinguistic programming, done a lot of that. So those are my two main tools that I've utilized in the past. Shit, where was I going? Oh yeah, so we want to know, we want to understand everything that's going on around us. And that's like it's like curiosity, and curiosity is what drives us into the process of awakening, isn't it? It's a beautiful process. But there comes this point where we're continuing to look for and try to understand all this information. There's only so much that we're able to. There's only so much we're able to comprehend. And then it comes to the point of, what can I do? Like, what can we do with all this information? What can we do with this process of awakening? And I don't know about you guys, but like my process was, I want to go wake everybody up. Everybody needs to hear this message. Everybody needs to see the reality of what's going on. And the truth is that even though like I'd done tons of reading and research and all that stuff, I still don't know what the heck is going on. And so my truth is going to be different than everyone else's truth, isn't it? And in that process of wanting to wake everybody up, a couple of things happened. The biggest one that I can comment on right now is that I felt ostracized. Like, because all of a sudden, like the people closest to me were looking, have you heard about soul contracts? Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think that kind of intertwines with karma. Steve, glad you were prepared. Perfectly stated from the gut. Let the energy flow. Thank you. Definitely. It's good to see you on here, man. I know I was going somewhere, guys. Hang on, I'm trying to wrap my head back around where that thought was going. We want to understand everything around us, and then we want to share that, and then we feel ostracized because family members, close friends, all these people start to question our sanity, or think that we're just conspiracy theorists, or whatever words they use, and we start to feel like we start questioning our own sanity. And I was talking to somebody, a good friend, a while ago, and he was talking about his awakening process and how he dove real deep into a lot of the darkness that's happening inside of our world. A lot of people, they go to either end of the spectrum. They're either at the spectrum of like, everything's just bliss, man, and I'm just so happy right now because I'm in touch with the spiritual side. And then you have the people that look at it's just doom and gloom, and they're gonna put us in camps and everything is falling apart. So you have like these two complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And what I found is I've been to both ends. I've been to both sides. What I found is finding that balanced place, and recognizing within ourselves when we're starting to drift towards one of the extremes, and knowing what we can do to pull ourselves back and stay in that middle path. Stay in that middle path. So, in this awakening process, when we start to feel alone, when we start to feel like everybody is questioning, and we start questioning ourselves, that's the biggie. When we start questioning ourselves and our own sanity and whether or not we should be doing what we're doing, then what a lot of people do is when they get to that point, they shut down, they stop. It's like, I'm not gonna bother trying to talk to anybody. I can't wake anybody up. It's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna focus on myself. And I think that one, that's kind of sad that we get to that point, but two, it's a beautiful thing, because now we really start focusing on what we can change, right? Because we can't change the world outside around us, but what we can change is our reaction to it, who we are, how we feel as we're going through it. And I think that that's one of the most powerful, potent things that a person can do, is to turn inside when they've gone through the awakening process. When we finally reach that point when all the knowledge, all the information in the world, it's good to be informed, but it's not going to help us. It's not going to help us in our quest to feel more peace. It's not going to help us in our quest to reduce suffering inside the world. And so like there's these steps, there's this path that we can take in this process of coming from, you know, like we were where we were living before as like, whoa, I spilled my coffee. Where we were living before is like almost unconscious, right? It almost feels like we are unconscious. I could go back to myself before I had my awakening process. I was out of touch. I don't know how else to put it. But we go from that place, and I just lost my train of thought again. Dr. David Hawkins discusses levels of consciousness. There's a scale from 0 to 1,000. Low consciousness begets more of the same, as does high consciousness. It's a choice. Yeah, you know, I have never read that, but that resonates. That makes sense to me. That definitely makes sense to me. So it's like, yeah, it's like you start on that journey, and it's like you start building your consciousness, I guess, from that perspective. I haven't read his work, but I would assume that what he's saying, or what you're saying, is that as we build our consciousness, or as we start, it's like we always have the choice to turn off of the path that we're on, like how we're approaching life, the decisions that we're making. And so when we get to that place and we're like, you know what, I'm gonna take this other path, like that path will continue to unfold and take us to a new place. I guess like we always have the choice to diverge from the path that we're on, and it can either lead us to more peace or it can pull us away from it. Ah, it is lovely. I know this view with you guys. Check it out. Check it out. It is a beautiful day here. Beautiful. So I guess just to wrap it up, guys, it's Saturday. I know you guys have things that you want to do, morning, noon, night. I don't know what time it is for you, but on the path of awakening, as we're going through it, when we start our Blaine, our choices create agreements with ourselves and others. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And we always have choices. We always have choices. You know, so often we feel like we're stuck, like there's nothing that we can do. And really, you know, when we're at that place, that's a real time to get real about like, well, what fear is stopping me from making this choice? And that's a whole, like that, then you're diving into the self-development world. I really don't want to jump into that realm on this video. But I guess where I was going with that is, you know, I guess when it comes to the awakening process, like when I've tried to break it down, like what are the most important aspects? Like where do we start? How do we go through that process? What I really kind of came to is that we have like, if you imagine like a pyramid, and you have like the bottom, you have the foundation. And the foundation, and the whole purpose of doing this is to take this awakening that you have had and turn it into a tool to help the consciousness and the evolution of our planet. I mean, I don't know about you, like that's one way of saying it. We could say it however we wanted, but we want to use this information, this awakening, this process we've gone through, we want to use it to choices equal action, and action equals karma. Interesting. Yeah, I can see that. You know, and then our choices and our karma plays through. Like I can see stuff inside of my life that happened. I guess it depends on your perspective, but I can look at it and say, yeah, that was karma for sure. And playing through maybe from this lifetime or another. You know, conscious choices versus unconscious choices. Oh man. Where was I going? So I guess what I was saying is as we're going through the process of awakening, and the base level of that pyramid is to focus on mind, body, and soul. It's to first address, you know, and it doesn't matter, I guess, the order that you address these, but it's addressing the body, creating as vibrant and healthy a body and mind as possible. Because without health, like we don't have anything. It's a struggle. And so focusing on body and then focusing on mind. That means like eliminating or quieting the monkey mind, getting rid of the chatter, the negative beliefs that are holding us back from taking the risks that could lead us. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it a seed of equal or greater benefit. Yeah, Napoleon Hill. Yeah, that guy was in tune, wasn't he? I love his work. In fact, I incorporate a lot of his work into what I'm building right now, into this program, because he was really onto something. And it's funny because when you really look at a lot of the people that have created influential works, like there's this common thread, this common theme that runs through all of it. You know, and that is that we are creators. You know, inherently, when it comes down to it, like, we are creators of our universe, aren't we? We are creators of the reality that we experience through our actions, choices, all that stuff. So you have your mind, you have your body, and then you have your soul. And when I look at it, what's your program, Nate? You know, I really don't have a name for it. I'm developing it right now. As of right now, it's just called Rise Unconquered, and I'm taking everything. I guess just because you asked, um, I'm taking everything that I have learned. Like when I awoke back in 2008, I had a pretty significant experience in 2010, and like my life was just never the same. I never went back to the person that I used to be. But in the process, I saw, if you guys have heard my story, I saw a lot of suffering in my family, a lot of mental illness, schizophrenia, alcoholism, you know, suicide of somebody I loved greatly, and my own suffering, you know, through all the process, and dealing with family and mental illness. Like, it's just a tremendous amount of suffering. And the important thing is I took all that, and at one point it pulled me down. And then at the next point I said, how can I use this? You know, how can this be something that benefits me? How can this have purpose? How can their suffering, how can these people that I love, how can their suffering have purpose? What can I do to give that purpose and give that meaning? And so when I started doing that, you know, I knew I had to heal myself. Like, I wasn't somebody I couldn't help anybody unless I helped myself first. And that's an ongoing process. Like, I'm never going to be done with that. I know that. I am constantly developing. But what I've learned along the way is that there are a lot of tools out there that are fluff. And there are a lot of tools that are very beneficial. And really, when it comes down to it, I think it's practice. It's applying practice to our lives. It's taking those conscious actions and taking the time out of our day to make it happen. So anyway, in regards to your question about the program that I'm making, right now it's just called Rise Unconquered. I'm still ironing out a lot of the last concepts, and I am going to be launching a challenge here. I would guess it'll probably be within a couple of months, where you know, whoever wants to be a part of it, is it course or coaching? How much? So I do offer coaching if somebody wants to move through that, and just shoot me an email. My email is info@riseunconquered.com. So I do offer coaching. The course is still in development. We're still making it. I do have a preliminary course where I talk a lot about what I'm discussing with you right now, but it's about what do we do post-awakening. It's like, what do we do after we wake up and we see that the world is, in a way, an illusion, and we kind of see through that veil and we start to feel that aloneness. Like, what do I do now? How do I use my awakening for impact? How do I use my awakening for creating change inside the world? And that was my focus. You know, it's like after I woke up and I asked myself, like, what do I do? Like what can I do? Then I said, well, okay, so our world is controlled by powerful people. It's by people who were not afraid to grab a hold of their power and to use it. And I said, okay, so it's just like electricity. Like, if we either have electricity and we can use it to, I've heard this, somebody say this, electrocute somebody to death, or we can use it to power a city. And so power is ultimately, it's a decision. How are we going to use our power? And we can develop power within ourselves. And that was my quest. It's like, what have the most powerful people done in order to attain the level of influence and persuasion and power that they have now? What did they focus on? And that's what I did for the last decade. I've dove down that rabbit hole to develop myself in order to become the kind of person that I thought maybe could help our planet evolve in consciousness and to move forward. And that was my focus. And so this program that I'm putting together, which I haven't sent any emails, I haven't even talked about it yet. Like, this has all been behind the scenes. So thank you for asking about that. This program that I'm creating is going to address those specific issues. And I do have an initial program ready. I just haven't launched it. So I guess if you guys want to know about it, or if you want access to it, just drop a comment below. How do I get it to you? You should probably leave Shoot me an email. Shoot me an email, and I will give you direct access to it. It's right now. I was going to charge for it, but if you guys, since you're here, and I appreciate you, if you shoot me an email at info@riseuNconquered.com, I'll give you access to it. And make sure that you Google how to spell Unconquered. I'm not going to try spelling it right now. I would get it wrong. But yeah, shoot me an email. So yeah, it's about how we, like, what do we do? How do we harness that power within ourselves? How do we move forward? How do we take that power and effectively start influencing and changing the reality that we experience by changing our internal experience? And then what are the principles that we use inside of our life in order to do that, and to start moving towards greater levels of personal sovereignty, personal freedom, more internal peace? You know, that's the goal of it, because the process of awakening, it's a rough ride, super rough ride. Guys, this has been real. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for the commentary and coming on here. You know, this is fun. I think I should do this more often. Maybe we should make this a Saturday thing. Come on here and have conversations. So before I go, are there any questions or anything that you guys want to ask before I jet? Feel free to ask. So yeah, last night, welcome, Steve. Welcome. Oh yeah, I never finished telling you guys about the pyramid. So while I wait for questions to roll in, if there are any, the pyramid: mind, body, soul. So the soul part, that's taking care of, you know, inner wounds, conflicts, traumas, the things that have happened inside of our life. And then you go up to the next level, and that it's once you've developed your mind, body, and soul to a place of harmony, then the next level is communication. It's becoming an intelligent communicator. Like, how do we communicate with other people in a way that we can affect not only change, but we can communicate in a way where people, you know, want to listen, and we aren't triggering fight or flight or those kinds of reactions inside people. And it, you know, what it comes down to is it comes down to influence and persuasion. And I know that sounds disturbing when you say it like that, like sleazy almost, right? That's kind of like one of the things that comes to mind. But recognize this: Martin Luther King, JFK, Mahatma Gandhi, all of these people, I wonder what are humans, why they are in this world. Yeah, that's a good question. Tara, that's a really good question. But all these people had to develop persuasion and influence in order to create change. Like, that is a power that we must develop inside. If we don't have the power to communicate effectively, if we don't understand the nuances of communication, then we're not going to be able to communicate our ideas and thoughts in a way where people will, I guess, latch on and be excited about them. And like, when you go back to ancient Greece, this was rhetoric, which is what we're talking about really at its core. Rhetoric was a core foundational skill that any person that lived in Amanda, what's your favorite breathing exercise? I'll get to that in just a second. Any person who was going to be in the public sphere had to master rhetoric, and it was a noble art. Like, those philosophers and those people, senators that, you know, would focus on that, it was a practice for life. And then the next level of the pyramid is where you emerge as a guide. So once you've mastered your mind, body, and soul, once you've mastered the art of communication, which is, you know, words are magic. Like, that's where our power comes from. Then the next level is emerging as a guide, and that's where we basically develop our leadership skills. It's how we lead other people. Do you use brainwave entrainment? I've heard of it when I was younger, a little bit, but I never really used it. Baba Ramdev breathing exercise. Huh. Yeah, I've never heard of that either. But yeah, so you emerge as the guide, and that's when you develop your leadership and master the art of creation within this realm. Like, how is it that we create? And, you know, like, we've heard a lot about like The Secret, the movie The Secret, and manifesting and all that stuff. And I think that there's definitely elements of truth in there. There's also elements that make it's so pleasing to consume, because they take all of the work out of it. And I think that whenever we're gonna try to create something inside of our world, like, it always takes a significant amount of effort and work in order to do that, and not just physically, but perseverance. Up here, have you tried Wim Hof? I've been doing it for a few months. Yeah, Wim Hof is definitely power. So the breath of fire is one that I've used on a regular basis. Have you heard of HeartMath Institute? Yeah, yep, the heart creates powerful energy field. It totally does. Yeah, I've looked into HeartMath Institute, and I think that their stuff, Greg Braden was the one that sent me over to them, and their stuff is definitely powerful. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about, isn't it? Because when we create that heart coherence, when we develop our mind, body, and soul, and we end up in this place where we are in coherence with ourselves on a regular basis, it's like, I guess one way to think about it is, like, we experience emotional roller coasters, don't we? Like, that's just a part of living. That's a part of life. We have good days, we have bad days. And what we can do is we can learn to, this is what I used to do. I used to have massive ups and downs. A person could probably say that I was bipolar. I've seen it in my family. Like I said, my family struggled with mental illness, so I know that it's been a fear of mine, is that I would end up fucking crazy. Excuse the language. And that but it's also been a reality, is that I need to take extra precautions to take care of my mind, body, and soul. Kindly show us 360 views of surroundings and ending, please. All right, I will, dear. I definitely will. Oh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, emerge is the guide. And yep, and then this is the cool part, is once you've mastered that mind, body, soul, and then the next level, communication, and then the next level, you emerge as the guide, you master the art of creation. Now you become the spear, is what I call it. And that means focused intent. You become one powerful son of a gun. And it's that type of a person that the corrupt elite don't want walking this planet. And I think that's the process. That's what I want to help people do. And I'm learning. I'm still learning. I've never taught a course like this, so it's gonna be fun. So if you guys are watching this, how many Psych sessions did you do? I've gone through the basic training and then advanced training with Psych. So if you guys are interested, I guess just shoot me an email and I can get you on the mailing list if you're not already, and then I can get you over access to my initial course that I made. It's called Training Ground, and it just talks about these principles that I just discussed in more in depth. So, yeah, all right, guys. This has been a long video. It's been fun though. I look forward to doing this. So I covered the breathing exercises. Oh, yeah. One last thing about the breathing exercises that I have found significantly powerful. So I've definitely played with, in the process of trying to release fear from life. Do you use Psych in your program? Not really, to be honest, not really. I mean, there are definitely thoughts. There are definitely principles that I pull away from Psych that are really fascinating. But no, I don't use Psych in the program. My email address is info@riseunconquered.com, and I'm sure that I spelled Unconquered down below. You're welcome. You are welcome. Yeah, so here's 360. So the breathing exercise, holotropic breath work. And Stanislav Grof, he really looked into holotropic breath work and the power of that. And guys, it is phenomenal. I've had some amazing experiences. Maybe I'll get into that more in depth in another video. But all right, so 360 views. That's it, guys. This is what I've been blessed to wake up to every morning. Unfortunately, the rest is just houses and fields, but that's the beautiful part. All right, you guys have a tremendous Saturday, beautiful Saturday, and I hope that you find peace today. Where is that? I'm in the Flathead County of Montana, so it's up next to Glacier Park, Flathead Lake, that area. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a very special place. So, all right, love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Monday.